Hey guys, do you like to read? I sure do. In fact, let me just log onto my Goodreads account real quick. Tucka 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 tuck. Well, la-dee-da! I've barely read any fucking books this year. I have literally finished 4 books this entire year. We are in fucking perpetual lockdown. There is a pandemic. I am stuck inside, and I don't think I've read a single book during the pandemic. How fucked is that? How much of a piece of shit am I? A big one. That's the answer to that. I'm a big old piece of shit. What I have before me, I have a fucking giant pile of books before me. You can't really see all of them, but it's just trust me, it's a big fucking pile of books. And basically, this is just a short video to ask you guys to help me out and to keep me vigilant because I gave myself a goal at the beginning of this year, which was, hey, dipshit, read 40 books. And the reason I did that was I used to be a total bookworm. I used to read constantly. I was that little shit who, whenever my parents would take me to the fucking Cracker Barrel or whatever, or the steakhouse, I would be sitting there with a little book reading instead of paying any attention to my parents or the waitress's fine ass or whatever. I wouldn't care about nothing but the book I was reading, usually was some bullshit. And so that's what I used to read so much. I had bad grades in high school and middle school because I did so much extracurricular reading and I didn't give a flying fuck about the reading that they were assigning me. I was a piece of shit. Why am I not that piece of shit still? I don't know. But I watch a lot of movies and I don't read a lot of books, and I need to change that. So I'm asking you guys, my small but powerful audience, to help me out here. Help me read more books. Help me get to this 40 count, because we are now over halfway through the year, and I have 36 books to read. Fuck me in the ass. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. All right. I'm going to show you what I'm reading. If you want to follow along with me, cool, man. I guess ask me what I'm reading, because I'm not going to have. I'll link to my Goodreads profile. That's what I'll do. I'll link to my Goodreads profile, and you can follow me if you want to like follow along. I don't know that anyone would want to do that, but fun things. So here's what I'm planning on reading, and I would like you to fill in the gaps for me. All right. So I ordered a bunch of Junji Ito because I want to do a big video on Junji Ito. So I got Fragments of Horror. I don't remember what stories are in this. I'm sure I've read a few of them by themselves, but I've never read this book as a whole, so I'm going to count it. And yes, I do count graphic novels and manga collections as books. Fuck you. I've got Junji Ito's Cat Diary, Yan and Mu, which just seems adorable. Very excited about that. The Dissolving Classroom, another one. These are not all going to be comics, by the way. This is just what's on top of the pile. Gyo, The Death Stench Creeps by Junji Ito. This is one of the few big Viz media collections I have not actually read. Uzumaki, I've already read. I actually don't know why this is in the pile, but if you haven't read Uzumaki, it's fucking tight as hell. There is a movie. The movie's alright. It's not amazing. It's pretty good, but it doesn't cover everything that's covered in the book. The book gets fucking apocalyptic and fucking dank as hell, as the kids say. So highly recommend Uzumaki, but that's not part of of my curriculum. And then finally, No Longer Human, the latest book from Junji Ito. I believe he has another book coming out fairly soon, but I'll get to that when it comes out. Point is, I'm going to read this as well. And this is one of the few Junji Ito works based on a book by a different author, so that's exciting. So that's all the comics. I'm also going to be reading, and some of these I've already started, and I just have not finished. That's a big problem I have. I don't know about you guys, but I start a lot of books, and then I never finish them, like an asshole. But Sidney Lumet's Making Movies is a book that I really should have finished by now, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that. As you can see, I did not get very far. So got to read that. About John Ford is a book that I was recommended at one point, and so I bought it used. And it's not that big. There's like a lot of big pictures, and I love pictures. So I'm going to read that at some point. John Ford, of course, being a very important director. Speaking of very important directors, all I need to know about filmmaking I learned from The Toxic Avenger. This is Lloyd Kaufman's book. I had previously read his book, Make Your Own Damn Movie, and so it makes sense that I would read this. I believe I also have Direct Your Own Damn Movie, or maybe Produce Your Own Damn Movie. His books are all very confusingly named. But I believe I have this I have this signed and everything. I haven't read it yet. So I'm going to read this. This is another one that I started and barely got through. So I'm going to read that, learn all about making schlock from John Ford, and then masterpieces from Lloyd Kaufman. Another book that I started, have a dollar bill as a bookmark. The Other Hollywood, The Uncensored Oral History of the Porn Film Industry by Legs McNeil and Jennifer Osborne. It's pretty cool. I didn't realize when I bought this that it was, and it's in the title, but it's all just interviews kind of edited together to tell the story, which is fine. It's a bit confusing to read, but, I want to have a better understanding of the porn industry, so there we go. Also, I think that the thickness of some of these books makes up for the fact that the Junji Ito stuff is so quick to read. I'm just going to say that. All right, next up, Transcendental Style in Film by Paul Schrader. You know how much I love Paul Schrader. I got to read a book that he wrote. I literally only bought this because I know that Paul Schrader wrote it. I do like Ozu. I'm not a big Bresson fan, but I do like Ozu, so cool. And it's not a particularly large book, and this can be gotten for really cheap on Amazon or eBay or whatever. Next up, Film School in a Book. I don't usually care for that kind of title, but I've heard great things about making movies by John Russo, and I actually got through a fair amount. I got through 6 chapters of this book before I forgot about it, so I will finish reading this book at some point. But apparently it's pretty good. John Russo, he had a hand in Night of the Living Dead back in the day. Yeah. He's no George Romero, but he'll do. Next up, a book that I started reading recently that is a pain in the ass to read, and is also very expensive, but Stephen Thrower's Beyond Terror, the films of Lucio Fulci. Oh my god, it's so big. By the way, if you buy this on Amazon, I think it's like $60, and it says it's a paperback. It is not a paperback. It is this hardcover book, and it is beautiful. Let me just get in there. Yeah, just look at how. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. Oh god. It's so big, and it's such a pain in the ass to read, because I'll be on the couch just like, oh, so much knowledge. So, bit of a tome, but I'm very excited to finish reading this. And by finish, I mean really get going, because I'm still very early on. I'm not going to put this on that pile. I'm going to put this over here. And then, let's see here. This is a duology of books. So I recently started reading So Deadly, So Perverse by your boy, Troy Howarth. And I also have its sequel volume, So Deadly, So Perverse, Volume 2. And this is all giallo from 1963 to 2013 between the two books. This is not Stephen Thrower quality, and I don't know that it's really worth the money that it goes for on Amazon. It is a print-on-demand book. You can even see in the back it has the little maid in San Bernardino thing. This is a cheap book to make, but it's so full of quality writing about giallo. It's basically just reviews, but it is, in those reviews, so much history that I think is really, really, really useful. It's taught me a lot about giallo films, and I'm still pretty early on. So highly recommend these books if you're super into giallo films. If you're not super into giallo, don't buy them, because it's like $70 to buy these two books together. So that's a lot of money for a book, or books for that matter. And then finally, out of the stuff I own, I plan on reading actually several of these, but this is just one. This is Wang's Chop, and Wang's Chop is it's basically just a big magazine, I guess. I don't know what you call these things, but it's a big ol' son of a bitch, full of articles and reviews, essays about film, a lot of cool stuff, and I really love these. They're really, really solid. I've met one of the editors. He's a cool guy, and I'm actually going to do a whole video on Wang's Chop, and I'm going to use several volumes to kind of illustrate my points about it. But The main thing is I have like, I actually don't remember how many of these I have, but I have like, 6 or 7 volumes of this publication, and I highly recommend it. There's a lot of good writing. It is very zine-esque in that it is sometimes a little sloppy in the editing. I do miss some mistakes, grammatical things, small formatting errors, but nothing huge. It's the kind of stuff that makes you go, oh yeah, this is a small operation, and with a lot of love put into it. And every so often they're going to make a mistake. They're pretty cheap to buy. The price ranges wildly, but if you want to wait for a bit, I will be reviewing them soon. It's just taking me a while because I have to read through all of them, and I'm bad at reading apparently. So highly recommend Wang's Chop. It's a great publication. I'm going to read those, and then I also am going to read a few things that I am ordering, which I'm going to take out my notes now because I'm bad at remembering stuff because I'm old. Like Wang's Chop, there's a lot of magazines, books, whatever, series of self-published periodicals. I don't know. Like Wang's Chop. I do want to check out Grindhouse Purgatory. That's apparently a pretty good series. I haven't read any of it yet, so I don't know for sure, but I read some good reviews, so I'm going to buy a copy of that. That's number 14 is $8 on Amazon, so why not? Phantasm Exhumed, one of my awesome patrons recommended this one. Gotta check that out. Same for Cinema Sewer. Cinema Sewer is another periodical. It's about kind of sick and pornographic films, and that's $20 for Volume 1. So I'm gonna try out Volume 1, see how I like it, maybe continue with more of those volumes. I really want to watch Taking Shape, Developing Halloween from Script to Scream by Dustin McNeil. He also wrote Phantasm Exhumed and is apparently a pretty solid writer. I'm willing to check that out sight unseen because, I've heard good things. Also, Fear, the autobiography of Dario Argento, is $20. It's the autobiography of Dario Argento. Why wouldn't I want to read it? I love Dario Argento and his pretentious ass. And then finally, I really want to read the Jaws log. I've heard about it for years. I've seen like pages. I've like flipped through it even, but I've never actually read the Jaws log, so I really want to read that. And then another book that I was recommended recently on Twitter, I think, is Nicholas Ray, The Glorious Failure of an American Director by Patrick McGilligan. That's $18 on Amazon right now. So I don't know that I'll read all those books, but I definitely want to read them. So that's a good few, but that's still not 40. And here's where I need you guys. I'm going to try to read all these books by the end of the year. If you want to, do the same with me, if you want to check out some of the same books, I will be reviewing them on this channel as a means of kind of like keeping me up with my reading. But if you have any recommendations, let me know. I love fiction. I don't have any fiction on my list. I'll probably try to read like 2 or 3 Stephen King books during this period of time. But if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Film books, history books, manga. As I've shown, I really love Junji Ito. Whatever it might be, let me know, and I will definitely consider it. Just get in them comments. Let me know what I should read. This is a pretty pointless video at the end of the day. I'm sure people will dislike it, but it is what the title is. Just me asking you to help me to read more books, because reading is important. Something, rainbow, whatever. I just want to read more, and please tell me what to read. Tell me what to read. So yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon. Go watch a movie or maybe just read a book.